When it comes to your retirement, do you want to have the same old plan everyone else has? Of course not. You're unique and have your own goals and dreams. Don't be treated just like a number. This is your retirement. So it's time to think differently. And you're in luck because you've found the Retire Your Way podcast with ILG Financial. At ILG Financial, you won't find generic, run-of-the-mill plans containing the same old cookie-cutter solutions. Dave Chase and the ILG Financial team focus on building one retirement at a time using their Think Differently philosophy. And that means your own comprehensive plan with customized solutions built to achieve just one goal, yours. So put on your Think Differently hats and get ready to take back control of your retirement today and for all the tomorrows to come. ILG Financial's Retire Your Way podcast was created just for you, and it's starting right now.
Welcome to the Retire Your Way podcast with Dave Lopez, ILG Financial. When it comes to retirement, you don't want the same old plan everybody else has. No, certainly you want a plan that's designed specifically for you, and we're going to talk about income, legacy, growth, all right here at ILG Financial. It's all about helping you plan for retirement your way so you can achieve your financial goals. I'm Ron Stutz along with Dave Lopez. Dave, it is good to be back with you.
Always good to be back. Sure enjoy this time together, our banter, but we always walk away with a few tidbits, don't we, that are helpful.
Well, we're going to talk about something really interesting today, and it is something that is very prevalent in our society and something that any older person or anybody retired really needs to pay close attention to. First, let me put your phone number out there for ILG Financial, 540-720-5656, 540-720-5656. Call that number if you'd like to have a conversation with Dave or Chase at ILG Financial. Something we don't talk about all that often, but is very relevant to your retirement and protecting your assets, is scammers and their target on seniors and on those already in retirement. My goodness, I hate scammers, but there's one out there every direction in which you turn. There's somebody trying to scam you out of your money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just awful. And they know that money and plans are going back and forth all the time, and they try to take advantage of that. Today, Dave is going to talk to us about two prevalent scams that have been taking place among retirees lately. And Dave, I'm really happy to have this conversation with you because I know a lot of people will benefit.
Me too. I'm glad to have it. It's kind of a mixed bag, isn't it, though? Because I wish we didn't have to have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But it's the world we live in. So instead of putting our heads in the sand like an ostrich and feeling unlucky when it happens to us, it's important. The big takeaway from this call is you need to be proactive to protect yourself because these scammers are out there and they're making a fortune off people with these scams.
You know, we have talked in the past about cybersecurity and like phishing emails and password protection and all that kind of thing. But there are some others that are kind of on the rise. So tell us about at least a couple of those, if you would.
Yeah, and this certainly isn't limiting the list, right? As you've mentioned, we've talked about several other types before. Today, we'll just focus on two in particular that are kind of rising to the top right now.
Yep.
So two of the scams that are more common, that are relatively new, and that's why we're talking about them, but they specifically seem to hit seniors and retirees. Those are the folks that seem particularly vulnerable, Ron.
Yeah.
They are the two we're going to talk about today. The first one is called gift card draining.
Oh, yeah.
Gift card draining, and we'll talk about what it is and how to protect yourself. The second one, Ron, is called check washing. Right? Again, we'll talk about what that is, and it's so important that you understand what these are because the good news is, and you'll see this as we talk about it today, you can protect yourself pretty easily if you just know what not to do.
Okay.
Right? I'll give you this might help. When I was a kid, my dad, the older I've gotten, he's turned out to be more of a genius, if you know what I mean. Right?
Yeah, the older you get, the smarter he is.
Yep, but I'll never forget, I had done something boneheaded and made a mistake. And he looked at me and he said, and tell me this isn't just incredible advice. He said, son, life's hard enough. It's going to dig a pit for you that you got to climb out of. Don't dig extra for yourself. Is that great?
Yeah, it really is.
But it's so true. And this is what we're talking about today, because these scammers are out here going to be putting roadblocks in your way and causing difficulties. And we hope it doesn't happen to any of us today, right? Mm-hmm. But don't make it easy for them. There's things you can do that make sure they pass over you and go after the person. They're going to go for the low-hanging fruit. Don't be the low-hanging fruit. And I'm going to show you how to do that today.
Okay. I've heard a lot about, people saying, go to Walmart or something, get a gift card. So I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about this and how people might be able to protect themselves from these scammers.
All right, perfect. Let's start with that. It's called gift card draining. Mm-hmm. And this is when a thief will go to the store, and you know how the cards are all up there for you to just grab them on a, what do you call it, like a kiosk or something?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
So they'll go up to the kiosk, they'll grab one and steal it, right? They'll take it home, they'll unwrap it, and if you've ever had a gift card, if you haven't, when you unwrap it, it'll have an account number on there that's yours and a security code, a lot like a credit card, correct? Mm-hmm. Right? But those are, when you're looking at the card in the store, you can't see those. It's almost like a lottery card. You'd have to get home after you buy it. You can scratch off to see your personal code and your security code. That way people couldn't just use them. So what the thief does is he steals the card. They may go home and scratch off to see what the security card and the gift card number are, write them down, and then they cleverly reseal the card and make it look like they never scratched off the code, so it's still hidden again. Return it to the store kiosk, and then they wait. And they wait for somebody to buy the card, for someone to take the card. If it's a gift, give it to somebody. And if you've ever done this, you have to actually call and activate the card, much like a credit card. Mm-hmm. And they just wait. They keep checking, and as soon as that card gets activated, the crook can drain the money out of it, because all you need to drain the money out is the security code and the account number.
Wow.
Now, here's the rub. Most folks don't even know it's been drained, right? The unsuspecting victim won't discover the fraud until they show up at a store with a gift in their hand and go to the cash register or the restaurant and try to pay the bill with the card. And then the restaurant or the store is going to say, there's no money on this card. Mm-hmm. Right? The AARP, Ron, did a survey, and they found, get this is going to blow you away. They found about 1 in 4 Americans have given or received a gift card that had no funds on it.
Wow.
That shows you how prevalent this is. I mean, this is happening every day. It's easy to do, and it's happening, and it's millions of dollars is literally being stolen.
Yeah, that's not what I thought we were going to talk about. I've heard about how, somebody will say, you got to go to a store and get a gift card and send it to me and, all that. But this is ridiculous. I mean, this is just even worse, because this is just so well hidden. And so, it's like, I can imagine so many people being scammed out of money this way. That is amazing. It
is. And you know what you said? I want to jump in because you said something that's important. You said you were thinking we were talking about a different kind of gift card scam.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole nother call, right? But since you said it, let me just tell you this. If you ever get on a call with someone, right, that says you need to somehow pay them or send them a gift card in the mail, do not do it. That's a whole nother scam where they'll either tell you a family member's in trouble and they're the police or the FBI, but if you can send a gift card for such and such amount of money, they can clean it all up. All right, no real business, and certainly no law enforcement agency, right, and certainly no company that you have a relationship with is going to ask you to send them a gift card. Yes. That is a red flag. Make sense?
Yeah, that's crazy. And, getting back to gift card draining, this little different thing involving a gift card, it's really sneaky, but that seems like it can affect anybody, especially around the holidays, not just seniors. When you see the towers of gift cards in the checkout line at stores, why is this statistically significant to seniors?
Yeah, well, you're right. If you notice from that AARP survey, it's 1 in 4 Americans, not 1 in 4 seniors.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right. The reason we're talking about it is often seniors are just more vulnerable to this scam, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
Imagine you're a grandparent, right, or an older person, and then you're gifting, it's birthday time or Christmas for your grandchild or just for a younger person in your life, right? And I will tell you, I have felt like this. Let me know, Ron, if you felt like this. Sometimes when you're looking for a gift, you feel, for lack of a better word, out of touch with what the kids want these days.
Exactly.
Right? And this is always a worry. So instead of wandering the mall or breaking the bank to buy a gift that you're unsure if they're even going to want, sometimes it's just easier to go get a gift card specifically at a store that their parents or someone has told you they like to shop at. Makes sense?
Yeah.
Or even Amazon, right?
I've done that, yeah.
Yeah, so as a result, imagine just with the baby boomers, 65 million baby boomers, if that's the prominent way they're buying gifts, right, that makes them more susceptible to this. So as a result, seniors are spending a lot of money on gift cards to their grandkids, to younger people that they're giving gifts to the recipient's favorite stores, right? So instead of guessing on a nice gift, they get the gift card. And this is especially true, and this happens all the time, when the young people want something electronic.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It's just easier. They don't understand the electronics or the games, so let's just get them a gift card. So that's why we're talking about it specifically with seniors.
This is a lot more prevalent than I thought it was when we started this conversation, and it seems like it would be really easy to get to be the victim of a scam. How can you avoid gift card draining?
Well, you're right about it being easy to be a victim, because once remember how I told you this happened, they steal the card, go home and write down the code, the account number and the security code, and then they'll just recover up the code so it looks like it's never been exposed. So when you bought that card, it would be near impossible for you to know that it was used. I mean, it was scammed.
Yeah.
Right. So it is difficult.
Whoever came up with this, I mean, that's just crazy. But I can see how they've managed to get money out of a lot of people without them even knowing it.
You're right. So that's the problem. So now we're going to talk about solutions. There's 3 things that I want to focus on here that you can do to protect yourself.
Okay.
First, buy e-gift cards. Let me say that again. Electronic, buy e-gift cards. Right? How do you do that? Well, you go online to the store that you were going to get the gift card and you download and print the card.
Okay.
Make sense? So now it's not a physical card that they were able to manipulate. You're literally downloading it, and then you just fold the piece of paper up that's the gift card and put it in a nice little birthday card and send it to your friend. And if you do it,
can't get to it.
You got it. Because it was never a physical card sitting out where they could steal it. Right? If you use an e-gift card, you're protecting yourself immediately from this particular scam. They can't get the card, so they can't scratch off the code, and nobody knows about it.
Well,
and the good news is, here's what's the good news. Just about any company, Ron, that offers physical gift cards will sell them also online on their website.
Oh, well, that's good.
In fact, it might surprise you, a lot of companies now exclusively only sell them virtually, and this is why they've moved to this.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine when it happens, the person who gets scammed ends up going back to the store and complaining, you sold me a scammed card.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So first thing, buy e-gift cards online and don't go to the store and get a physical one. Next,
okay,
if online e-gift cards for some reason are not an option, and this is true for seniors, right? Maybe they are an option, but it's just difficult to get online and buy it, right? We're not as tech savvy as the younger folks, right? So if for you, e-gift cards are not an option, then buy gift cards that are stored at the store behind the counter. Make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Right? If it's behind the counter, a thief isn't going to be able to get back behind the counter to steal the card and first steal it. Second, after he alters it, go behind the counter a second time and put it back.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the second thing. If you can't do the first thing, then I would do the second thing. And the last thing I would suggest is if you do have to purchase a gift card from a store, right, and whether it's behind the counter or not, right, if you do have to purchase it from a store, Ron, purchase it with your credit card.
Yeah.
Okay. And the reason is if you do, it may be possible, if it turns out that it was drained, to call your credit card company up and request a refund.
Wow.
Right.
This whole thing is blowing my mind. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Now,
amazing.
I will tell you one more point on the credit card thing. Just keep in mind, if you do the credit card thing, that just gives you another avenue. Instead of just complaining to the store, you can go to your credit card company.
Yeah.
However, you need to understand that it's not guaranteed that the credit card company will credit you the money back.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not for those. Some seniors don't have credit cards, so they can't do it. So you couldn't do this. And then some seniors, just if you've ever been on the phone with any company trying to get a credit, sometimes it's a nightmare.
Oh,
so if that's something that's not for you, then this last option wouldn't be for you. I would stick to buying e-gift cards or not doing the gift or only buying them behind the counter.
Gift card draining. Boy, it's extremely useful to know this. I mean, I didn't understand it when we started either. And, like I said, there's a scammer out there born every minute.
Yeah, but if you think about what I told you before, right, this is the world we're in. But the good news is just knowing what we just talked about, the risk of this happening to you, it goes down to a minusculely small amount. Right? Because there's so many people out there that don't even know about it. They've got plenty of business, these scammers, from the people who are just grabbing them off the counter and not looking. Just by you taking one of these 3 steps, you can almost eliminate this as a risk to yourself. So it's we've said it forever on this show, right? I don't know what I don't know. Well, now you know, right? So already you're in a better position if you're someone who likes gift cards.
Well, thanks for pointing all that out. I'm sure a lot of people learned from this particular podcast today, and we're going to talk about another form of getting scammed in just a moment here. But let me remind you, you're listening to Dave Lopez of ILG Financial on today's Retire Your Way podcast. And if you'd like to have a conversation with Dave one-on-one about scams or anything having to do with your money, 540-720-5656. 540-720-5656. Now, you just told us all about gift card draining. What is the other scam that we need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, the other one we'll talk about today is called check washing. Check washing. And that happens when we send a check through regular snail mail.
Okay.
Right? And so here's what happens. A crook steals a check from your mailbox, and he literally washes the check in special chemicals. Get this, Ron. When he does that, he's able to remove all the ink that you put on it, right? Not the printed check, all the information on the check. And he'll do all of it except your signature. Now, isn't that clever?
Yeah, really. I'm just wondering how this darn thing works. I mean, what kind of chemicals are we talking about here?
They've got the chemicals that'll take off the regular ink that comes out of your pen, right? So now the check is basically blank with the exception of your signature. Once it dries, he'll wait for it to dry, and then the crook will physically write a new payee, right, and a new dollar amount on the fraud and fraudulently deposit the check into a checking account, or he might go to a check cashing store and give it to them and get cash and just be done with it. And it is that easy.
Wow.
Right?
That's crazy. Man.
Yeah, get this. Postal inspectors, Ron, recover more than $1 billion in counterfeit checks and money orders every year. Is that incredible?
I didn't realize that was happening.
Yeah, so it is a big problem. The Better Business Bureau says that check washing, right, what we're talking about here, accounts for over $815 million in losses to individuals, businesses, and financial institutions.
And it all seems so easy. This is another one that seems like it could get anybody out there. But what makes seniors more vulnerable in this particular scam?
Yeah, so for seniors, it's because seniors are the ones today who predominantly are the only ones who send checks through the mail.
Yeah, that's true.
Right. Most young people don't even have a checkbook. And many of the younger folks that are under 30 have never even owned a checkbook. Right. But the older folks still use their checkbook. They still mail some of their bills. They'll pay them in the mail. Right. Or they'll send a check in the mail as a gift to their grandson. Right. So the seniors are more vulnerable because seniors are the ones still mailing checks.
Yeah, and a lot of times, some of those senior citizens that we talked about earlier who may not even have a credit card, they still write checks, kind of old school. So
Yeah, and they're uncomfortable on the internet, right? So they're not buying stuff online. Instead, they're mailing a check someplace, and they're just more likely to be using checks and using them in the mail.
Well, this affects so many people. How can we protect ourselves against this check washing thing?
Yeah. So here's the good news. Just like we talked about with the gift card scam, you can take steps to completely eliminate this as a risk for you. So we're going to go through several things that you can do. I'm going to start with the most successful, and then we'll go from there. So the first thing you can do is rethink the use of checks.
Yeah.
We do not need them anymore today. So if that's difficult because you're used to it, take the time, get with another family member, get comfortable paying stuff online, right? Or going and using credit cards online, or physically going someplace and using your credit cards. But if you avoid using checks, this risk goes away.
Okay. But if you are going to actually write a check, I mean, I'm fascinated by what you said about, how they have chemicals to kind of, erase the check except for your signature. How in the world can you fight that?
Yeah, well, the second thing I would say is if you do have to still do checks, don't mail them. Mm-hmm. Right?
Okay.
If you have to go to a place of business and write a check and give it to them, that's much less likely to be scammed, right? In fact, the person who received your check would have to be the bad guy.
That makes sense.
Right. But if you still have checks and you're still going to put some in the mail, one thing that can help is use a gel pen, and most people are familiar with those, right? A gel pen.
I've got one right here in front of me right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so the reason is the gel pens often, not always, make it more difficult for the scammers to wash off the ink as opposed to a regular ballpoint. So some pens, Ron, even claim their ink it protects against check washing.
Okay.
So if you're still big into the checking, it might be worth a Google or an Amazon and look for a gel pen that protects against check washing.
Well, that helps.
Yeah. So every little bit helps. But again, that's a good protection. But if you just don't use checks, that's a perfect protection.
Okay. What about putting checks in your mailbox and, with a flag up? I mean, sometimes we do that. I've always wondered about that and how secure that is.
Yeah, so don't do that. Don't put checks in your mailbox with the flag up. If you do, it is literally a red flag to somebody circling the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You might as well put a sign up that says, I've got a check in here for you to take. Right? It's a green light for scammers. So what you want to do instead is physically take it to the post office and drop it through the slot. Right? Now, if you can't do that, at the post office and even at strip malls and by the grocery store, they've got post office blue collection boxes. Right? So if you can't physically take it to the post office and give it to them, you can use the post office. They're better, right, than your own mailbox because people have a hard time getting into them.
Yeah.
Right? But even then, what I would say is no. You know how when you open those blue collection boxes, they give you the times of collection? You want to try to drop them in right before they're collected.
Yeah.
You don't want your mail sitting there for 6 hours because people are able to pick those locks and get in and grab all the mail.
That way it's only in there for a very short period of time.
Yeah. So, but if you're going to take to the trouble to go to the U.S. collection box at the grocery store, I would say before I do that, I would just drive an extra 5 minutes to the post office and not use the collection box at the post office. I'd use, how they all have a slot in the post office that goes right to the back of the post office.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Am I saying that right?
Yeah.
Then it's not exposed to anybody to pick a lock or anything.
Yeah. One thing that strikes me is, we used to do things a certain way, but these days, with all these scam artists out there, you have to change the way you do things. You can't keep doing it the old school way.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And to be fair, that's been going on since the beginning of time, right? The world changes, right? Before paper money, people walked around with a bag of gold around their waist.
Yeah.
Right. And if you went, it's a funny little story, but that's how the Knights Templar. That's what they started doing. They protected pilgrims from thieves stealing their money. So what they were the first ones really to do with this banking. What they did is they set up a system where they said, listen, put your gold here in England, right? Yeah. And take this, I'll give you a note. And when you go to the Knights Templars, we've got some gold in Jerusalem. And when you get there, give us the note and we'll give you this gold.
Wow.
Okay. Isn't that crazy? So things changed then, right? And even then, there were people that go, I'm not going to do that. I'll carry my own gold. But the world changed, and you have to change with it, just like today. Mm-hmm. So we talked about when you're sending checks, right?
Yeah.
Let me give you another one, because sometimes you're going to be receiving a check, correct? Mm-hmm. So if you're expecting a check, Ron, go be ready, know when it's coming, and try to retrieve it from your mailbox as soon as it's delivered.
Always a good idea.
Right. And as a rule of thumb, no matter checks or not, never leave your mail in your mailbox overnight.
Yeah.
You're out. And because another thing is, once a crook knows you do that, then they're going to start knowing, oh, look, this is going to be on our list to hit once a month. Because they never check their mail. They leave it in there. It's almost a guaranteed bounty for me every month. Mm-hmm. So don't leave it in overnight. If you're expecting a check, when your postman gets there, be ready to go get it as soon as it arrives.
Yeah.
Right. And finally, and most people know this, but we want to say it anyway, if you're going on vacation or out of town, have your mail held at the local post office, or have a trusted neighbor collect it every day, not every other day.
Yeah.
Right? Have them collected every day so that it's not sitting out there.
Yeah, if we go on vacation and it's going to be like a long period of time, we'll do the thing with the post office where they hold it. But normally when we go out of town just for a couple of days or something, we always ask our next door neighbor to get our mail.
Yeah. So and it's important, because when they see it piling up, they'll say, hey, what they're going to do, what most of us do, the crooks, they're going to say, oh, okay, Ron's probably on vacation Saturday to Saturday. Mm-hmm. Right? So we're just going to, what that reminds me of? Remember the scene from Home Alone? Right? Yes. And they're going to be gone all week. They know they're going to be gone all week. So there's a reason that was funny, because it's true. The criminals know exactly how long you're going to be gone, because most people vacation a week to week. So once they get an inkling that you're not around, they're going to go every day and check your mail.
Yeah, for sure.
So, okay.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, these crooks out there are smart. And, with technology the way it is these days, just as much as technology makes things easier for folks, honest folks, it also makes things easier in some ways for those who are trying to cheat you out of something. And that's really sad.
Yeah, there's nothing new under the sun, is there?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, so when you hear about any change or technology, you know how there's always one camp that says this is going to be great for the world, and then someone else that says it's going to be utter disaster?
Yeah.
And guess what the answer is?
Well,
yes. It's going to be great, and it's going to be a new risks, right? And that's true of everything. I had a conversation with a client the other day, and we were talking about trying to avoid email scams, right? And they said, we never had this before emails. And I was like, I know. And that's the perfect example, right? Look how the world has changed for the positive, because we can use emails instead of paper mail for everything.
Yeah.
You could avoid email scams completely if you just chose never to use email. So with every new invention, it usually revolutionizes and makes our life better, but there's new risks. So you either don't use the technology, right? Or you learn to adapt to minimize the risk. And this is a great example of that.
Yeah, every time something comes along to make life better for most of us, there are a few of us who are trying to figure out a way to scam that system, whatever it is.
Yep, just like the robbers with the Knights Templar.
Yeah. I really appreciate this conversation about, check washing and about gift card draining. And I know a lot of people listening to this podcast have really benefited from this, Dave. So I'm glad you talked about it today.
Listen, I appreciate it. If you don't mind, Ron, I want to add one very important thing for any of our clients that are listening.
Okay.
That is, if you're wondering from listening this, is, hey, listen, if I'm sending money over to the office or receiving money, how does this check thing affect me? Yeah. Right? Well, you need to know that, especially, of course, we're talking here about the check washing, because we don't do any gift carding, of course, right?
Yeah.
You do not need to mail us a check, ever. right? And for money coming to you from us, there's no scenario where we have to send you a check, right? So if you've either done that in the past, one way or the other, know that it's not necessary. There's other avenues. So make sure if you have any questions on that, call the office. Anybody can help you and say, hey, listen, in the future, how can we make sure that I'm not actually getting a physical check either sent to me or I have to send a physical check to you? And we can always have workarounds.
Well, wow, we are all in gratitude to you, Dave, for pointing out all these things. I know a lot of people have really learned a lot today. I certainly have, and appreciate your talking about them. Income, legacy, growth, it's all right here at ILG Financial, and it's all about helping you plan for retirement your way so you can achieve your financial goals. Today's topic has been a little different from most. Most of the time we talk about getting you to and through retirement, but today Dave thought it was necessary, and I certainly agree, to talk about these scams out there. At ILG Financial, the number is 540-720-5656, or you can go online to ilgfinancial.com to learn more. This has been the Retire Your Way podcast with Dave Lopez. I'm Ron Stutz. Thank you so much for listening. The information provided is for educational purposes only and is not intended as investment advice for any individual or entity. All information contained herein is believed to be from reliable sources. However, we make no representation as to its completeness or accuracy. The views presented today are those of Dave Lopez and do not necessarily represent the views of the Alpha Star Capital Management, LLC. The opinions expressed are subject to change without notice and do not constitute financial, legal, or tax advice. Please consult your financial professional before executing any financial strategy. Investment advisory services offered through Alpha Star Capital Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Alpha Star and ILG Financial, LLC are independent entities. SEC registration does not constitute an endorsement of the firm by the Commission, nor does it indicate that the advisor has attained a particular level of skill or ability.